Hey sports fans, Coach Nick here, and welcome to B-Ball Breakdown. Well, I wasn't going to do a breakdown today, but when I watched that Thunder Spurs game from last night, I saw so many things I needed to point out about Russell Westbrook that I couldn't help myself. Now, before you get too excited about the fact that I'm really brutal on him, you have to understand that he's not a first-year player or a second-year player. They've gone through the fire of playing in the finals, and so now it's time to learn a little bit more about decision-making. And at this point, if he's unable to display better decision-making, then I'm not so sure he's ever going to do it. And that leads us to our next point, which is do not let him be a point guard then. He could be the third or fourth best shooting guard in the league behind Kobe and Manu and those kind of guys. But when you let him make decisions that are crucial, and Tex Winter calls it the moment of truth, when you bring the ball across half court and you decide how the offense is going to go for that possession, time and again he's displayed the inability to make that correct decision. And I'm going to show you how it affects the team, not only on offense, because that's a little part of it, but on the defensive end, it was huge last night. This is more a Scott Brooks thing, but you're down by 5 in a playoff-like atmosphere on the road and you call an alley-oop to Russell Westbrook and it's going to be thrown from 40 feet away? Surely there's a better shot than this. And off a ball screen, he's going to come off and do a jump stop, which forces him to take a jumper instead of going around the slow-footed Tim Duncan, who's coming up strong. It's a contested shot that misses. To his credit, the next play down he learns and goes right by Tim Duncan and gets an and one. In a precursor of things to come, watch how Russell Westbrook will turn his head and completely lose Tony Parker. He's even slow on the rotation down low to Dia, but gets out there and contests the shot, and it misses. Now Westbrook is a good defender on the ball, so why does he commit a silly foul instead of trying to play D? And watch how the slightest movement by Tony Parker away from the ball causes Russ to lose focus of where the ball is and is now behind the play, giving up a wide open jumper. Another example is the weak side here after Tony Parker passes the ball. He'll stand straight up, lose sight of man and ball for a split second. Now he's behind the play out of position and fouls unnecessarily. The Thunder have put in the double ball screen that worked so well when the Mavericks ran it against the Heat and Dirk got all those flares for three-pointers. Well, watch how Kevin Durant's going to roll to the hoop this time and is wide open, but Russ doesn't even look over there and ends up making a tough pass, getting it back and getting it stolen, and that leads to a run out, which gives separation in a tight game. And here's an interesting sequence. Out of horns, Russ gets a post-up, dribbles in traffic and gets it stripped. The Oklahoma City Thunder get the ball back and miss the shot, but now Russ is late getting back and can't pick up Tony Parker, so he has to guard Steven Jackson. And you'll see it's pretty clear that's his man on the rotation. But watch how a simple cut by Jackson makes him completely lose his man, has no idea who he's guarding. So guess who's wide open in the corner? That's right, Steven Jackson. Two guys have to rotate over and they get a layup because of that. Russ did a lot of good things in this game and made up for some bad decisions by his teammates, like that shot, by getting the rebound on the offensive boards. However, when they set up, they end up going ISO for him after this switch, and he just pulls up and takes a tough contested jumper against Kawhi Leonard. However, it does end up back in Durant's hands eventually, and he knows what to do with it. To make the jump as a better player for Russell Westbrook, he has to make better decisions. He's more than willing to wait and give Ibaka the ball in the post and let him go to work, which is a mistake because he travels with bad footwork. But when Durant posts up, you'll see he doesn't feed him the ball, ends up dribbling the ball in place and jacks up a terrible three-point shot when they're down by 4. When guarding a guy like Tony Parker, you can't take your eyes off of him when he has the ball. Watch him turn his head and lose sight of Tony Parker. He lucks out by not getting a foul called on him, and Tony misses the bunny. At the end of the third quarter, he waits way too long to start attacking and then ends up getting the ball knocked away and turning it over. And on the fast break, there are no numbers, so he wisely brings it back out to set it up. But then he just goes right at Steven Jackson, who's waiting for him, off the wrong foot and a miss. This is playing out of control. You can see the Spurs are going to ignore Perkins by letting Tim Duncan almost zone against Russell Westbrook, and Westbrook does do a good decision here by getting to the hoop and pulling up an and one. The next possession down, he's going out of control too fast. There are 3 guys in position, so he shouldn't try and attack here. Instead, he does a Euro step off the right foot and shooting with the wrong hand and bricks off the rim. Again, on this drive to the hoop, He is going way too fast. He's got 4 guys collapsed on him where he could pitch to anybody he wanted for an open shot and airballs a layup. Again, this is about decision making. When you're down by 1 in the 4th quarter, you don't want to throw a risky alley-oop pass that's not open. The pass wasn't even good anyway, so now the shot clock is winding down and he has to take a forced tough shot that misses off the rim. For all his issues, this play might have been the one that cost him the game because Russ gets to the hoop and gets an and one, but Durant comes flying in there and touches the ball on the rim and they wave it off. They get the 1-point lead deep in the 4th quarter, and here's a chance they can step on their throats and take control of this game. Steven Jackson does a terrific job getting around a screen on Durant and they can't get the ball to him. Instead of attacking though, Russ pulls up after 13 dribbles and jacks up a 3-pointer that misses. They do get the offensive rebound and can reset, and this is really their chance to take this game over. Now, while this play ended up working in the favor of the Thunder, I lose some respect for Westbrook because he yanks Jackson down and gets the ref to call a foul that's pretty much a flop. And here's Russell Westbrook's redemption. Watch his terrific D on Tony Parker as he chases him around, forces Parker to get the ball much higher on the floor than he wanted to, and ultimately harasses them into a tough long shot that misses, and Russ even gets in there and gets the rebound. The game should be over, right? Not so fast. On a down screen where he slips it to the basket on a beautiful cut, he misses the alley-oop layup. He's got to come down with that and put it up strong. Up by 3, the last thing you want to do is foul and stop the clock for the Spurs, and what does he do? Reaches in and gets a call on him. Down by 3, the Spurs run a nice execution of a sideline out of bounds play where they get a double ball screen, but the rotation should be Westbrook coming over. Diaz slips to the basket and he doesn't take away that pass, but they're lucky because the pass was off. But you turn your head for a second against these guys and there's Parker open for the 3 in the corner, and that's all the daylight he needs. Let's look at what should have happened. If Westbrook rotated and took away that pass, all they would have had was a long skip pass with plenty of time to close out on Tony Parker. So now it's their chance to win the game. Best scorer in the game, it's tie game, the clock is running down. They start way too late, by the way, to get this play going. And he throws the ball to the inside arm of Kevin Durant where it can get stolen. This is splitting hairs, but when you play the Spurs, you gotta do it right. So we showed you time and again how easy it is for Russell Westbrook to lose his man on a simple cut. What is surprising is how catastrophic this one was. The other way than the cutter goes, completely on the wrong side, and he gives up the game winner. I mean, I've never seen anyone go so far the wrong way trying to guard a guy who's going to hit a game winner on you. So there you have it, sports fans. Remember, in the gym in the summers, you can go and work on your shots and your pull-ups and your step backs and all that kind of stuff, and that's great. But what you also need to do if you're a point guard is to actually go through footage and analyze your decisions. This is what most NBA coaches do after games. And it's whether they can get through to Russell Westbrook and show him these plays, and whether he can accept that and then get better at the decisions is what's ultimately going to make the Thunder champions or not champions. And even with Kevin Martin playing on their team, he's going to help them a lot, and they can do it. It's just a question of making better decisions against the upper echelon teams. The top 2 or 3 teams are going to have to play to win the NBA championship. Well, thanks for joining us. We're going to break down Lakers-Clippers tonight. It's going to be huge. And don't miss our effing fantasy show on Sundays at 5:15 Pacific. Because don't forget, at B-Ball Breakdown, we're not a channel, we're a conversation. You win,